I'm in Cross City, Florida. I'm in nomad mode, so I'm living out of the Model X Plaid, actually staying with friends for the next few days. And I will be settled into a place on August 20th on Satellite Beach. I'll be settled, and hopefully the Sunday live next week will be from my place on Satellite Beach. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, lots of news about Tesla, SpaceX, and so on today. I want to start with SpaceX because I got a lot more to say about Tesla. So let's start with SpaceX. We're seeing progress with Starship. We're seeing progress with Starlink. We're seeing a lot of Starlink launches. The Starlink satellites are up. I think I may be turning off my Starlink because I'm not going to need it once I'm in Satellite Beach. We'll see what my setup is. But yes, I mean, Starlink is their launch. I think they had 2 launches in the last 7 days or so. Seeing a lot of progress with that. I think there was a polar launch. This is getting to the point where Starlink is going to start having its own backbone with laser links in space. I think that's coming fairly soon. Starship, we saw static fires of the booster, and we saw a static fire of the Starship. We are getting closer to orbital launch. I am planning to travel to southern tip of Texas for orbital launch when we get close. I am planning to stay at Rocket Ranch. Rocket Ranch has a great viewing location. If you haven't been there before, check out Rocket Ranch's website. I think there's only one non-crazily expensive package left to secure a spot at the viewing site. And my plan is just bring the car and sleep in the car at Rocket Ranch. I checked with, I've talked to the guy before, Anthony Gomez, and he's assured me I should be able to park my car and stay there. And I'm 1 to 12 months. Yeah, well, no, 1 to 12 months for a successful launch, Brooke. That doesn't mean there won't be an unsuccessful launch of Starship. So that's going on. We're seeing good progress with Starship. We're seeing good progress with Starlink. SpaceX is growing. Elon at one point said that Starlink will pay for Mars. I don't think people fully appreciate that. Starlink is going to generate so much revenue and so much profit that it's going to pay for the Mars mission. Elon is not counting on governments to pay for the Mars mission. He believes that Starlink will, he owns about half of SpaceX. And if Starlink is going to be spinning off a crazy amount of revenue and profit, then Elon will be able to pay for it. I don't think Shift 4 is relevant to that. And as for rants go, we're coming up on a rant. So let's dive into Tesla. I think probably the biggest news, I actually discovered this. I'm going to claim that I scooped everyone on the Tesla stopped taking orders for a long-range Model 3. I think that's a big deal. Elon said, the order book was too long. They're going to start taking orders again once they start ramping Model 3. So that's a sign that, number one, Tesla expects to significantly increase production of Model 3. That's a little bit of a surprise. There's been so much focus on Model Y. Haven't really talked about Model 3 as much. But, the question of what's the future of Model 3, I think that we're going to see a refresh of Model 3. And I just made a video. If you check my channel, I just made a video predicting that there will be a refresh of Model 3. Rear casting, maybe front and rear casting, redesign of the, they're constantly re-engineering the car, but maybe a more significant re-engineering of the car with front and rear castings, which should enable them to increase the throughput of the factory in producing more Model 3s. That's a gut hunch that we will see, and that will lead to front and rear castings will reduce the weight somewhat. It'll increase their ability to produce in high volumes. I don't think they're going to 4680 structural pack for Model 3. As far as we know, they're building them in Fremont only in the United States. I haven't seen any plans to build Model 3s in Texas. Maybe my fantasy Kansas Gigafactory, maybe they would build Model 3 there. It's an interesting question. So I think that's fairly big news. The other big thing that's been going on with Tesla is the war on Elon, the war on Tesla, the war on FSD. We had idiot Dan O'Dowd starting a series of commercials. We had this idiot Paris Marx. I had a rant in a McDonald's parking lot this week. This guy Paris Marx in Time writing this attack piece on Elon. We have Dan O'Dowd's commercials. Now we have Ralph Nader, a couple of my Patreon supporters. Please support this channel on Patreon, on Locals, as a YouTube channel member. Links to all that in the description below. So Ralph Nader responding to Dan O'Dowd's screed attacks against Tesla. Ralph Nader, now apparently an expert on not only is Dan O'Dowd an expert on self-driving software, but Ralph Nader's an expert on self-driving software. So they're saying, oh, Tesla's endangering the public. You know, Teslas have been running with self-driving software for several years now. With human supervision, they're safer than other cars. I don't know what fantasy world these guys are operating in, but they've come up with this theory that this is a problem. Yeah, that is true. Sorry. Moon mentioned Semi. The other big news this week is that Elon said that Semi will be delivered this year. I have a video on that as well. So I'm working on a video right now. Dan O'Dowd, the dreaded Dan O'Dowd, did an interview with some guy, can't think of Nick something, and I broke down that interview into pieces, and I've started working on a video where I tear down Dan's theories. And there's three basic problems with Dan's analysis. This is Dan O'Dowd we're talking about. Ralph Nader's just, you know, an airhead talking, you know, he saw an opportunity to make himself more of an idiot and he chose it. But the critical mistakes, Dan O'Dowd talks like self-driving software is going to be made with like 10 programmers in a room somewhere, and they're going to put it on a test track and see if it works right on a test track, and they'll give it 10 different challenges, and once it overcomes 10 different challenges, then poof, it's ready to go on the road. And that is a completely misguided sense of how things work. If you just said, if he wants the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration to set up a set of like 10 tests or 50 tests that the cars have to succeed in before they can be released on the road. And the problem is the real world is made more complicated. If you set up 10 tests that the car makers have to meet in order for their self-driving software to be allowed, then the car makers will hand code software to defeat those tests and put it out on the road, and the cars will kill people. What Tesla is doing is a generalized solution to self-driving. Every frame, every 30th of a second that the car goes down the road, good morning, Ralph, every 30th of a second that the car goes down the road, a different group of photons comes in the 8 cameras. The car is getting something like 1280 by 720 pixels of photons in 8 different cameras. Each photon probably 32,000 colors, and every 30th of a second, it's a different set of photons that are coming in the cameras, and the car has to make a judgment about what to do. And they're never the same. No two cars will ever experience the same moment. The photons are always different in some way. And the car has to learn to drive based on the photons. It has to be trained based on this group of photons coming in. And you can't program it based on every possible occurrence of every possible array of photons. There's just too many. You have to train it to react to the overall scenario, and that's what machine learning does. And humans cannot code for every possibility. That's one of his mistakes. The other mistake is O'Dowd says it's the worst software he's ever seen, and he will describe how Tesla drove for him in one situation. And then he'll say, and Waymo and Cruise and these other Argo AI, that they're the leaders, they're better than Tesla. But he doesn't drive those cars in the same situation. Is anybody else having problems with the signal? Because as far as I can tell, everything's going well. I'm not getting any messages from YouTube. Moon says there's a signal problem. Those other cars, I want to see Dan O'Dowd get a Waymo, get a Cruise vehicle, get an Argo AI vehicle, get a Baidu vehicle, get an Xpeng vehicle. I'm at the McDonald's in Cross City, Florida. Buy more Big Macs to get me. It's on my end? Oh, problems? All right, let me see. Let's see what I can do. Is this better? Tell me if it's better now. I just took it off Wi-Fi. I'm on the regular cell phone signal. How are we doing? Can you hear me now? Much better. Okay, so we're going off Wi-Fi. So that's the challenge. Like if you're going to compare, if you're going to compare Tesla's self-driving software to somebody else, don't just say, well, I drove it in this situation and it did poorly, and I heard that Waymo does better. I'm so far from the world's population. Cross City, Florida is the middle of nowhere. I'm only going to be doing this live stream for another half hour. The odds of somebody figuring out where I am and coming, I'm not too worried, and I am armed and dangerous. I'm armed and stupid. So, you know, I would love for Dan O'Dowd to get a Waymo car or a cruise car. He had this situation set up where they set up a bunch of cones and they set up a mannequin child at the end of the cones, and they drove at the cones at 40 miles an hour. Well, fine. Get a cruise car and do the same test. Get a, you know, get a whichever Blue's Clues, whatever. There's no guns in the front. Get whatever vehicle you say is better than Tesla. Run it through the same test. And the answer is Waymo won't even drive in that test. Cruise won't. None of these other softwares that you claim are better would even drive down the cones. They're not programmed to drive in that situation. Tesla FSD Beta is programmed to drive in a variety of situations. He's talking about how great Waymo is, and Waymo's cars are running in San Francisco. Yeah, they're driving into like empty dead ends and stopping and getting confused. Brooks says, how long do I think it will take? How long do I think Chinese companies will take to catch up to Tesla when it comes to FSD? This is a really simple point. The solution that Tesla's on, that this path that Tesla's following, is you take millions of cars, you run them in all the real world situations, you generate a lot of data, you upload that data to supercomputers, and the supercomputers process that data and train the car to do better next time they train. And they're constantly iterating to improve the algorithms that the chip is using to decide how to respond to the photons that come in the cameras. As far as I know, no one else is taking Tesla's approach of generating massive amounts of data. No one else is doing that specific approach. You need to generate massive amounts of data. You need to feed that massive amount of data to supercomputers and train and use the supercomputers to train the cars to drive better. No one else is until someone else starts that approach, no one will be close. There's a theory suppose it's possible that somebody will come up with a different approach that works. But I haven't seen any indication that anyone is close to that. What they're doing is they identify a very limited geographic area, and they limit the cars to driving in that very limited geographic area. They have HD maps that they make sure the car knows exactly where everything is. Any minor thing that gets in the way, there was one incident with a Waymo car in Arizona where there were some cones in the road and the Waymo froze in the middle of the road. So that's a thing. And then the third thing is that comparison, there's a lack of understanding that FSD Beta, as it's deployed on the roads, has a human supervisor. And the idea that this is somehow dangerous, that the human supervisors need training, or that this is, that the other people on the road didn't consent to this software test. Look, every day there are adult parents who have teenage kids who they put their teenage kid in the driver's seat and the adult is sitting in the passenger seat, and their teenage kid without a license, a human beta driver, goes out on the road and drives, and the adult parent supervises, and the adult parent doesn't have special training. And unlike with FSD Beta, the adult parent does not have access to the steering wheel and the pedals. So they don't make a fair comparison between what FSD Beta is doing and what's an appropriate comparison. And adult humans teaching teenage humans to drive by sitting in the passenger seat and telling them what to do is a much better comparison. And FSD Beta is clearly superior to that approach because the supervisor is in the driver's seat, ready to take over at any moment. You can't do that the other way. The audio from the phone microphone is awful. Highly suggest a microphone upgrade. Thank you, Jeff. I will look into that. I have thought about that, actually. I have thought about getting a microphone. I didn't think the microphone was that bad. But I have thought about getting a microphone for the car. I think that'll come. This is the phone microphone, not the laptop microphone. I think the phone microphone is better. Have I seen Farzad's price target for 2035? No. When do I think FSD will be able to beat a professional F1 driver in a race? I do think that's coming, that we will see a FSD Roadster or FSD Plaid Model S driving Nürburgring. Yeah. Well, I could get a better microphone. There's this Rode microphone I've seen other people using. I might do that in the future. So the thing is that this is the nomad mode, and the nomad mode is about to end. So when nomad mode ends, I'll go back to my good microphone consistently in a stable environment and all that stuff. But right now, I'm we're in the Plaid Venture nomad mode experience, and it's not perfect. It just is what it is. So and can I stream audio via Bluetooth? I don't know. I think the Rode mic is like a Bluetooth connection to the phone. I think I think there's people who do that. So, yeah, and by the way, Tesla Air t-shirts at elonbits.com. Please check out the t-shirts, support the channel. There's links to everything in the description below. No, I haven't researched BlackBerry QNX. Audio is fine if you use headphones. Oh, if you're using headphones, okay. Jeff is a disgruntled GM employee. Yeah. So personal news, I have a date tonight. I'm not disclosing the location, the date for those who are worried, but I have a date in about 4 hours. So I'm going to finish this live stream. I'm going to go take a shower and shave. I'm a little scruff, just a tiny bit scruffy here, so I'm going to shave. I'm going to put on better clothes. I won't wear the Tesla Air shirt to the date. Oh, it would be fantastic. I do think we're going to see FSD drive Nürburgring. I think that has to happen. FSD is going to drive Nürburgring, and FSD is going to drive it ultimately better than human. That's going to be amazing. So, you know, let's see what else. I'm just looking to see if there's any. I don't have a lot else. I'm looking for questions from the chat, I guess. You know, the Nader thing was the one thing that people asked me to talk about. Ralph Nader thing. I think. Is there anything else with Tesla? I mean, FSD beta's next version is still coming August 20th. Wear the Tesla Air shirt. No. Put a tie. I'm not going to wear a tie. I'm going to wear a nice shirt and jeans. That's what I got. When will Tesla's Semi be made in China? I think that what we're going to see is Tesla's Semi will be made. I think they're making it in Nevada. They're going to build probably 1,000 of them a year at start, and they're going to scale up to 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. Assuming that it's successful, assuming that it all works well, I do think they will build one in China. China has a big market for these trucks. China does not like all the diesel fumes polluting the air. I've got a nice spot on the Florida coast that I'm meeting up with this woman. I'm not taking her somewhere. I'm meeting her somewhere. I think there might be live music at the date. Is Tesla too far to even pretend to go more like without earnings, Ripple? I think they have to do earnings reports. Any comments, or have you seen JB Straubel's Giga Recycle Factory video? No, I have not seen JB's video. If you can send me a link to that to wredlick@gmail.com, I'll take a look at that. Yes, I don't think so. Let's talk about 4680s and Model 3. So I think let's talk about this for a second. I mentioned the refresh. A lot of people ask me, will there be a 4680 structural pack Model 3? I don't think that's the path. I think the path is you have to recognize that Panasonic is building a high volume of 2170 cells. LG Chem is building a high volume of 2170 cells. Panasonic is building a high volume of 1865 cells. The 1865 cells are going in Model S and Model X, like this car that I'm in now. The 2170 cells are going in Model 3 and Model Y. They're starting to make 4680 cells. They're adding lithium iron phosphate cells from CATL and maybe from BYD. You don't want to stop using good batteries. So if you have a factory that's producing a high volume of 2170 cells or a high volume of 1865 cells, you want to keep using those. So if you have a great car like a Tesla Model 3 that's doing great on the 2170 cells, and you have an increasing supply of 2170 cells, then keep making that car. The 4680s, although a 4680 Model Y is a good idea, 4680 is more necessary for Semi and for Cybertruck. So my gut hunch is that Tesla has made a decision. We're not going to focus on 4680 Model Y for now. We are successful enough with 2170 Model Ys. Let's build more 2170 Model Ys. Let's scale production of Model Y. Let's scale production of Model 3 using 2170s until we run out of those cells. Because they don't need 4680 for those vehicles as long as they have enough 2170s and 1865s for S and X. So now you start ramping 4680 cells, and you're producing a lot of 4680 cells, and then you use the 4680 cells in the vehicles that definitely need them, which is Cybertruck and Semi and Roadster. Roadster's small volume, so it doesn't really matter. Once you start producing enough 4680s that you outstrip your ability to make semis with 4680s, that you're ramping Cybertruck and you're out there, you've got a lot of excess 4680 capacity, then you start making the 4680 structural pack Model Y. And then, of course, you've got this robotaxi vehicle coming. And, you know, there might be an electric delivery van. Who knows? What's the likelihood that Tesla sells FSD data to other legacy manufacturers? I don't think that other legacy manufacturers can use the FSD data. What's more likely is Tesla will license the use of FSD software to other manufacturers. How long do the battery packs really last? I get asked this question a lot. I just got to ask this question. So I think you can expect a typical Tesla driven, let's say 30,000 miles a year. 25, let's say 25,000 miles a year. I think you can expect that vehicle to last 15 years, and, you know, 500,000 miles, if not more. I think it's not just a question of the battery pack. Drew Baglino was talking about, you know, it's not the battery pack, it's the whole package, it's everything. It's not the cell chemistry, it's the whole, you know, battery pack and how they put it in the car and all the other things that can go wrong. So I think you're going to see that the typical Tesla is going to last 300 to 500,000 miles, maybe longer. I don't know what Tesla bot's going to use for batteries. That's an interesting question. I think that the 4680 might have the right energy density to make the bot lighter weight, but I don't know. I want to buy a Tesla, but I'm afraid the battery will die after 100,000 miles. I have a 2018 Model 3 with 100,000 miles. The battery is fantastic. I think we're still, it's not 100%, but it's close. I think it had 310 miles range when Omar bought it, and I think it has 300 miles range now. So lost, I think, 5% at most of battery capacity. I think you're badly overestimating the degradation of Tesla battery packs. The brand new ones in particular, the newer they get, the hardier they are. But my 2018 Model 3 with a 4-year-old battery pack with 100,000 miles, I honestly, like, I think it's really close to 100%, like 95%. Do I have to go to traffic school? Why would I have to go to traffic school? What do I see as the next step evolution of the voice activation process? Do you see, hey, Tesla type capabilities in the future? We already have voice activation capability. You press a button, you say, take me to McDonald's, and a bunch of McDonald's will pop up on your map, and you pick which one you want to go to. You say, take me to McDonald's in Cross Creek, Florida. It'll bring you to this McDonald's in Cross Creek, Florida. You say, open butthole, it'll open the charge port. You say, open glove box, it'll open the glove box, except for some reason in my car, it won't open the glove box. You have to press a button to trigger voice commands and it works. I don't think there's some particular advantage in being able to say, hey, Tesla, and get features to work. I don't think that's necessary. So, yeah, it's all working good. Enable dog mode. Oh, my speeding ticket. I believe I've got it worked out to where it's going to be a fine, but no, it's not going to show up on my driver's license, and I'm just going to have to pay a couple $100. And the guy who's helping me take care of this said that he's going back to him to see if they can lower the amount I have to pay. So I don't have an answer to that yet. Yes, Tesla, there was a report that Tesla is apparently going to use BYD blade batteries in Europe. This is a big deal, actually, because to rebut the Tesla Q criticisms, one of the Tesla Q criticisms is the competition is coming, oh, BYD is doing better than Tesla, blah, blah, blah. BYD is partnering with Tesla. This idea that somebody else is going to make an EV that's better than Tesla and they're going to outcompete Tesla. No, if you make a great EV, you're going to take market share from internal combustion engines. You're not taking market share. You don't want to take market share from Tesla. 98% of the market is gasoline cars. 2% of the market is Tesla. Why would you go after the 2% when you can go after the 98%? Aaron Bell says Teslas have average battery pack degradation of 10% after 200,000 miles. No need to worry about battery replacement. Yeah, and 10% degradation is not that bad. How would you rate the build quality of your X? Any issues you've noticed? The build quality is not 100%. There are little panel gaps. The left scroll wheel isn't really functioning right. I'm going to have to get that fixed at some point. But overall, I'd say it's a really good car. I mean, I'm really happy with it. Sandy Monroe says the power and weight of the 4680 is better than he was expecting. Any thoughts on it? I haven't seen that video. I've been watching Sandy Monroe videos on the 4680, but I haven't seen that latest video. I'm looking forward to that. Atomic batteries, BU boop. What was that? Tesla bots having fun in the chat. Phil says, I dreamed that my Tesla honked at someone doing something stupid on the road and said humans. I really should stop watching YouTube videos. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, you look at all the dumb things that human drivers do. Oy. Eric Mulder says, have I seen the movie Wife Like No? Melody says, got to drive a Model S yesterday, best machine ever made. I think every Tesla's got its own unique characteristics. I really like the Model 3. I haven't driven an S. I've driven this X. This X is super comfortable. I really like the 3 a lot. What's your expectations for the Tesla solar business for next year? I think that solar is going to grow. There's to some extent, solar is limited by the supply chain, that Tesla has to prioritize what it's going to focus on, and solar is not as high margin. They're making so much money on cars that they got to focus on making cars, and you're ramping cars and you're just having success in making cars. So there's going to come a time when the supply chain gets better and they're going to be able to devote more effort and more engineering resources to deploying more solar. I think that's coming in a year or two, but I don't think it's happening yet. What's my source of wealth? I own a lot of Tesla stock. Didn't Elon lie when he said last month he's done selling? I don't focus on that stuff. I don't know why people care about that. What matters is what's going on with the business, not whether Elon sells stock. I am not ordering a semi. Has my 2030 number on how much Tesla will be worth changed recently? No, I don't really update that model on a regular basis. That model is typically based on either a forecast of where robotaxi is going to be or a forecast of the battery revenue model, and nothing has changed on those fronts, so there's no point in redoing a video. Yeah, human driver drove into a crowd yesterday, exactly. What do I think about Gary Black buying Rivian stock? Makes me lose some confidence in him. I think Rivian, I would not buy Rivian stock. I think that Rivian has really, really high risks. But Rivian is clearly a superior bet to Lucid. They have a bigger cash pile. They're producing more vehicles. They have a better niche. I think there's a lot more promise. Sandy, really interesting to 7 to 10-year-old children. I don't get that, Mark. A video on how Tesla megapacks and solar will create a flywheel effect as more and more EVs are produced, regardless of who makes them. Thoughts? I don't know that I see the flywheel effect. I think that there's tremendous value in megapack and solar being produced in higher volume. Model S, incredible, definitely my favorite. Elon said no plans. Do I think Tesla will go to a bid-based Q model where you go faster by bidding higher? That's interesting. If you bid higher for the car, you get it sooner. That would go over really well. I couldn't possibly see any criticism for that. Do I think Tesla may make a Model 3 using the Wise castings? No, I don't think they can use the Wise castings. The Y is bigger. I think they have to make their own, a different casting, but I think they could do it with the same casting machine. They just need a different mold. How do I think the Twitter deal will play out? I think Elon will settle with the Twitter board sometime in the next few weeks and they'll agree on a number. What did I do before becoming a Teslaneer? I was a trial lawyer. Do I think and I was a realtor and I ran West Boca News, and do I think the SFD will work end of year? I think that full self-driving will be a wide release by the end of the year. It won't be sit in your back seat, let the car drive you. You'll still have to supervise it. It's going to be another year before we get there. So I think sometime in 2023 we're going to deliver it, but we'll see. People have trouble making comparison to nice vehicles. Drivetrains degrade as well. Mileage performance. Yeah, Tesla EVs last a lot longer than internal combustion engine cars. That's not even a close call. Can I buy more stock before or after the split? I don't have an opinion on splits. Do I think Trump gets reelected can be a setback for Elon's companies? No, I don't think that whichever president matters that much for Elon's companies, but Trump has certainly been more positive towards Elon than Biden. Let's see. Can I buy more stock for, let's see. Do you think, let's see. For a Boca Chica trip, how many days should one plan to stay in the area to see SpaceX? If you're just going to see Boca Chica and it's not a launch, I think 2 or 3 days is enough. I did 4 days the first time and that felt good, but I think 2 or 3 days is a lot. Any thought of Polestar can succeed? I think Polestar is doing okay. If nuclear fusion is achieved and able to be commercialized within the next few decades, how do you think this may impact Tesla Energy? That's so far down the road, I just don't worry about it. And I think that it'd be great if we commercialized nuclear fusion. Will there ever be a carbon tax in the next years? We already do kind of have carbon taxes, but will that come? I don't know. Tesla Mini Cyber SUV based on Model Y? I don't think so. Do I think 100 shares are enough to retire in 10 years? Okay, so I'm not a personal financial advisor. I can't give financial advice like that. I think the rough answer to that question is you got to, let's say you got 100 shares and they're worth $10,000 a piece. You got $10 million. You got $1 million. Sorry, is that enough for you to retire? And I can't answer that question for you. Tesla Model X and 88,000 miles, degradation to 280 miles out of 295 when fully charged. That sounds pretty good. Booger flake and left nostril. All right. Oh, I got it. Thank you. Who said that? Larva. Thank you, Larva. Elon said in the all-in interview, fusion doesn't scale. You can scale heat turbines. It's possible somebody will come up with a way of delivering fusion energy in reasonable volume. I think fission is good enough. I think we should be doing more nuclear fission. What do I think about Peter Zahan's work in regards to Gilbert Galen's future? I have not seen that. Am I heading down to Tesla AI Day next month? I do not believe that I would be invited to AI Day. I was not invited to the last one. How's the girlfriend search coming along? Any hot prospects? I have a date tonight. I've never seen her. It's a matchmaker date. I've never seen her. I don't know her name yet. And I have a prospect who might come visit me on Satellite Beach. We'll see. Tesla's main competitor is internal combustion engine vehicles. That's been the competitor all along. Tesla is winning that competition. The competition is not coming. Tesla is the competition. Do I think Tesla will decouple FSD from the price of the Model 3 and Y so they qualify for the $7,500 tax credit? Well, you can order without FSD now. I do think there's a chance that Tesla will find a model that fits in, that will design models that fit in right under the price level for tax credit. I do think there's a good chance they'll do that, but only if the margins justify it. Drove a Polestar yesterday, drove like an ICE Volvo. Likes EVs, but likes Teslas much better. Thank you, Melody. Does Cybertruck need two different sizes, one for UK, Europe, and one size for the US? I don't think the market for pickups is that big in Europe. And I'm told that Europeans will buy the larger Cybertruck. Where will the next Gigafactory be located? I think Kansas or Osaka. That's what I think. I mean, I don't know for sure. Do I view ICE luxury cars as non-impressive junk? If it's not an electric powertrain, it's not luxury. If it's a comfortable ride, it's a comfortable ride. I can't stand driving gasoline cars anymore, but Giga Shanghai produced their 1 millionth car. That's amazing. Every live show you've always talked about how you're going on a date. Hey, this is what you get. I used to say in medical school, I need more input to fill my mind. Just sitting around watching TV or speaking to dumb people does nothing to satisfy my day. Interesting. Is dating much different at a bit older age? I don't really, honestly, Cedric, I don't honestly feel older. I'm 56 years old. I feel like I'm in great shape. When I had a girlfriend recently, we went to the gym together. We're riding the exercise bike together, on the next exercise bike over. And honestly, I was doing a much higher level of the bicycle was at a much higher level of difficulty. I was doing higher RPMs and my heart rate was lower than hers. I don't think that there's a huge difference in terms of, there's a difference in terms of if you're 56 and you're dating a 30-year-old, the way they view the world can be different. But in terms of my body, in terms of relationships, I don't see a huge, and the other thing is, like, I was married for 26 years, so dating is different because I'm just like, I'm a dinosaur. Mexico for next Gigafactory? I don't think so. When does Tesla stop selling vehicles to the public and Tesla owning its robo-taxis will be so profitable? I think that's like 2026. I think they will still sell vehicles to the public, but they will be just much more expensive. Will there be an Apple car? I don't think so. I like how 21-year-olds feel. Thank you, Mark Plott. It's a good thing my daughter's only 20. Viking believes Cybertruck in Australia. Yeah, they'll send some Cybertrucks to Australia. Don't text her around Omar. Okay. All right. So I think we've run through the questions, and I think I've covered the topics I wanted to cover. There's no particular news about Neuralink. There's no particular news about Boring Company. Send me an email about Peter Zahan. I'll take a look at that. My thoughts on Xiaomi Cyber One, I don't know anything about that. I don't think anybody really appreciates that Tesla's full self-driving vision software applied to bot makes a huge difference. I don't think anybody has anything close to that. So please check out the t-shirts at elonbits.com. Please support the channel on Patreon Locals as a YouTube channel member. Links to all that in the description below. Check out my other videos. Please subscribe. Thank you so much to the moderators. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.